Hey guys. Just trying to find myself on YouTube. That sounds so weird when I say that. I'll never get used to saying that. There we go. This way I can see the chat. On YouTube. Oops. That sounds so weird when I say that. We don't need to hear my voice twice. Okay. All right. Good morning. Oops. Let's try not to bump the camera. Hey, good morning, Nancy. How are you today? All righty. I'm just clipping all the wires out of my way so I don't trip over anything, because as I've said a million times, my middle name is neither Patience or Grace. So, having you guys hear me like crash and fall live on camera wouldn't be good. Oh, thanks. I'm good. I'm good this morning. You know what? I was waiting for 2 days for a phone call back from somebody about something fairly important, and I never did hear back from them. So I finally last night sent an email, answered all the questions I needed to answer, and heard from them this morning. Okay, great. Thanks. We'll proceed forward. So yeah. In the old days, I would have called them back this morning and like totally yelled at them, but I just didn't. It's done. The questions are answered. It's going forward. I'm good. So I can focus on other things, like really being creative and finishing up my videos this week that I need to do. Good morning, Michelle. So as we're kind of just delaying a few minutes, waiting for people to remember, hey, we're live. As most of you know, I came out with my stamps finally. And they will be coming like this, which is a sheet of unmounted red rubber. This is one of the sets I already had out. No Periscope today. You know what? This is not this is not a simulcast week. This is a bad week to try to do simulcast. It's not. So if you see anybody, Michelle, asking about Periscope on social media, I'm not doing Periscope today, only YouTube. All right, so the stamps will come like this on a sheet of red rubber. They're deep etched red rubber, so you need a sheet of easy mount cling foam to turn them into a cling mount stamp. They'll be packaged just like this but with the new designs and in this size. I'll fuss with that, putting it back in the package later. No, you don't have to worry about comments. These are the new designs, and all of the new sets all have words in them. Hi, Teresa. Why am I bragging? Because I need to make money to pay for my art supplies. All right, so all the new sets have words in them. I do have this one set, which is similar in style to the other doodles, and I actually did it right after those other ones came out live. Live? No, not live. Came out for sale. And I did these this way on purpose. So if you look at it and you pay attention, you have all the pieces and parts here to create a border or a flower or something like that. Hey! So I did these that way on purpose. So you have a couple of different possible stems, a couple of pre-made borders, some petals, and then a flower center. And these will be, I will have the first shipment of stamps in 10 days from Monday. And yes, I'm waving at everybody. Wave, hello. I did finally come out with my little doodle birds. And I actually created a few new birds just for the stamp set. And the person who helps me design the stamps actually pulled out one of the faces from one of the birds and one of their little fluffy tops. So you actually could, you know, doodle your own basic shape and then put stamp in the bird face and the top. The birds are cute. This one are some doodles. These are inspired by my nightly doodles. The birds are so cute, aren't they? I know. And there's a couple of secret projects coming out in the future someday with the birds. I know someone who wants to write a book and she wants to use the birds in the illustrations for the book. So, but I don't have a timeline for that. Well, if I do actually, Teresa, if you sign up for the email newsletter, then you and you're on there, then when the announcement came out Monday for the stamps, you got a 20% discount code. If you are not signed up for the email newsletter and you want the discount code, go sign up. All right, so this one was inspired by my nightly doodles. And I thought these would be really good in my life journal. And if you're doing documented life, they'd be really good in that. I love the arrows. And she took my arrows and she made one of them real small. But these would be really cute. Also on some tags and things. And then, of course, we have my doodle girls, 2 girls. And I was going to actually put more girls on here, but I really wanted to get some words out there. So I did 2 girls with a bunch of words. And all, as I said, all the stamps have some words on them, either a quote or a phrase or something. So open the newsletter, Teresa, because it has a 20% discount code on anything in the store. You just have to spend a minimum of $10. But these sets are going to be $26 each. They did go up by $1 because of just the cost of manufacturing. It's all the way at the bottom. Look at the bottom. And if you still can't find it, private message me off of YouTube. So that's my little spiel before we get started, because I really need to try to sell these stamps. Make some money back. All right. So we got a couple more shipments of products to review in. Holbein was one of them. And they sent me some of their watercolors and their gouache. And I had no idea that Holbein made acrylic paint. But they do. And they sent me this 5-tube primary color starter kit. And really, even with acrylic paint, this is all you need. You can mix a lot of colors from just these 5 tubes of paint. And I am really loving them. And you know what? These acrylic paints dry really fast. I've done a couple of journal pages with them now, including one that's in the Facebook group. The video is over there. Under photos, and then you click on videos and it's in there. And I also just did a Journaling Crazy Island style page with it. And if you want to see that page, you have to be signed up for the class if you want to see the video. But I'm really loving working with these, and these just 5 tubes of paint, and they're really nice paints. I had no idea they did. I don't know why I didn't know they made acrylic paint. All right, so let's get to swatching. So first, yeah, you'll have to message me the sign, Teresa. Yeah. No guarantees. Okay, so I'm having some asthma and allergy issues this morning, guys. I'm sorry. They're not super cheap, but they're not super pricey either. I forgot to go look at like Dick Blick or somebody to see about prices before we went live. I did remember to go and link on my website the pages, manufacturer pages for the 2 paints that we're going to do today, Holbein and Coir. If somebody can shoot out some prices from Dick Blick or somebody while you're online here in the chat, for everybody. I don't think, from whatever, super cheap, but they weren't too bad. I'm okay, Nancy. I have, you know, it's a long story for those of you who don't know, but I had a work injury, and because of it now I have allergies and asthma, and everything bothers me. I can't shop at Michael's without a surgical mask. Like, everything bothers me. It's annoying. And right now in California, I hate to brag, but it's warm and sunny and everything's blooming. Like, that's the worst time of year for me. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is swatch our paints. And I'm going to do the Holbein first. So here is the color key that I did. It's all wet. With the paints. And here's schmink. So like here's the reds. Look at the orange. I actually like this permanent yellow orange a lot. A lot of people are going to get pounded with the snow. I'm sorry. The yellow is very comparable. I really like the way they're pigmented. I think they're nice paints. I love their violet. Their violet was really great. Hopefully Michelle unfreezes. Uh-oh, wait. Am I frozen too? Oh, no, I'm not frozen. It could be YouTube, Michelle, hopefully. All right, so we're going to swatch our colors here for Holbein. I'm going to write the names down. Let's see. Let's do permanent lemon yellow again, because I have that in this brand, and I also had it in Van Gogh. And I don't have cadmium yellow. So let's see. Now, Holbein paints are a Japanese brand, I believe. I only have one orange, so we're going to swatch that one. It's a yellow orange. Why do I always start this without my reading glasses on? And then I can't see what I'm doing. All right. Oh, that's better. And then we have Pyrrole Red. I think that's spelled wrong, by the way. Oh, yeah, it is. Oops. We only have one green, so. Well, we have ultramarine. And then permanent violet. Now, there is a video coming out next week where I show you exactly how I set up this Holbein palette, what I did, how I got to this place. I was able to get all of the 9 sample tubes of watercolor and the 5 gouache tubes that they sent me all in one palette, so I can use them all together. I frequently don't just use only watercolor or only gouache on a painting. I frequently mix them up. Yeah, you know, I also wanted to tell you guys, somebody, and I thought it was Creatively Amy, and I went to go back to try to find out for sure before we went live, and I can't find it. But somebody this morning was altering a like a wallet to turn into a Midori style, not Midori, yeah, Midori style art journal, and I thought that was so clever that now I'm going to have to go thrifting for an old wallet. See, the 5 starter tubes set is that's not bad for the price. And look how big the tubes are, guys. These are not small. These are 60 ml tubes, 2 ounces of paint. And if you compare them to some of the other brands like Golden, you know, they're affordable. As we all know, we love Golden, but it's not super affordable. They're super vibrant. Look at this. This orange now is a very different one than the ones we've used, but look at that color, people. These, no, they're not sticky. I don't think they're sticky. Not as sticky, at least, as like Golden paints. And like I said, I've done a couple of journal pages with them now with the acrylics, and they dry really fast. Now, I still think the most pigmented watercolors we've tried so far may be the Mission Gold. But these are pretty close. Coir tubes are expensive. I do have some coir paints. We're going to do them next. Stamps are sticky. Yeah, I saw that. I saw Cindy's video too. I was watching over my coffee this morning. I've gotten stamps that are sticky too. The coir tubes are more expensive, but you know, they have some colors that I really love that match. Got to make sure I stick my paintbrush in the right hole, in the right pan. That sounded so bad. All right. They have, the coir paints have, because they're made by Golden, they have colors that match their acrylics. Watch her video because I really like the way the stamps that making the flowers was pretty cool. I know, right? Me and I don't know how to talk sometimes. So look at these colors. They're so vibrant. And I didn't have to struggle to get them to be so vibrant or anything. You're welcome. I make myself laugh. I don't know if that's good or bad. I think that might be a sign that I'm nuts, but you know. All right. So those are the Holbein. And before we flip pages, we're going to go ahead and do the coir too. Now, we're going to use this because I have my coir in this empty Schmink palette. And this is a palette that frequently, if I'm going on vacation somewhere, like when I go to Alaska, I'll be bringing this big palette with me because it has a bunch of really great colors from a bunch of different brands. This is a mixed palette. There are coir paints in here, along with Winsor Newton, Grumbacher, Schmink, Van Gogh, and these ones down here at the bottom that are shiny. These are Sennelier. They are samples I got when I went to a demo with them, and I only have the 3 colors. They stay sticky, so I don't like. I like my watercolors to like dry out. I'm not a big fan of them staying sticky. That kind of bugs me. Yeah, you know, I'm not, what is sane, you know, define that. So anyway, so instead of picking and choosing out of here and me having to count and figure out which ones are coir, we're not going to do that. But this is where I have my coir. And I have a number of palettes that are mixed like this. They're not all, until I started doing these reviews, I didn't really keep them separate. I kept them all mixed up. And there's no reason why you can't build your collection by buying the coir Cobalt Teal because you love that. Daniel Smith Moonglow because you love that one. This Holbein Permanent Yellow Orange because you love that. There's, you know, nobody says you have to just stick with one brand. Get an empty palette and just start building your own custom box. But because I don't want to have to, I'm going to be lazy this morning. We're going to just dump out the bag of tubes. It's easier. And let's pick out some color. Now, Coir is one of the brands that makes a really good metallic watercolor. And I do have gold and silver. Let's see. I have Quinacridone red. You keep saying that. I have Pyrrole red light. Let's see. Hansa yellow. Yeah, I have silver, cobalt blue. Oh, here's Viridian. Let's do that one. There's another yellow. Nickel azo yellow is not right. Let's see. Ultramarine. Let's do Hansa yellow. See, I at least need to look at the let's do this one because it compares closer to the other paints that we've used. No, I haven't had trouble writing over them. Oh, I have pearl and silver, it looks like. All right, so wait, I lost track. You guys, I've lost track of what I'm doing. It doesn't take much, squirrel. I don't think I have an orange in. Let's see, Pyrrole red. Let's do Pyrrole red. And nope, I don't have an orange in Quar, so we're gonna have to like do without it because yes, they don't perform the same. And I frequently mix my metallics with a color. Like I have the pearl because I like to give sometimes my color a little bit of a, you know, metallic-y shine. So I'll mix the pearl with the color. But they don't act the same. I really like the metallics for doing like highlights of light on water when I'm doing a seascape. Yeah, I don't have orange. We can do quinacridone gold is the closest I think I have. I need purple. Do I have a purple? I do have a purple. Somewhere. Oh, in my hand. No, it's not just you. And I really like the metallics, you know, when you're doing like a sunset painting and you want to add that just that little something extra to, you know, the water where the light is shining on the water, use a little bit of a metallic, gold, silver, pearl. Don't feel stupid. Hello, I'm the queen of stupid. No, you know, when I was training for a company we shall leave unnamed, I used to tell my trainees that the only stupid question is the one you don't ask. And that's the truth. I honestly believe that. There's no such thing as a stupid question. Don't feel stupid. We're all learning. That's how come I started my channel in the first place, was because I was learning. I wanted to learn more and I wanted to pass it along to everybody else and get feedback from you all so we could all learn and grow together. That's the whole premise from my channel from the start. So don't feel stupid. Okay. Let's see. So let's start our swatches here and then we can move forward. Let's fill our little palette. We'll put some in the palette. And thank you guys. But, you know, I do, like the rest of you, have self-esteem issues. So I would, you know, if you're really unsure about whether you're even going to, well, that tube just kind of exploded all over the place. If you're not unsure about if you're going to like the gouache or not, you might want to go with as good a brand as you can afford, but not too cheap. Reeves is okay if you're just going to like make cards with it, but it's not a great, in my opinion, paint. I do have some, but I don't think they're fabulous or anything. I like the Holbein gouaches. I got to tell you guys, I'm pretty impressed. But most of your paint brands make a gouache, not all of them. I do have Reeves. I have Talons. I do have a gouache palette, a big giant one. Let me fill this first and I'll pull the palette out and we'll look and see what brands I have. I know there's some Reeves in there and I don't use the Reeves as much. I think the other one that's on there might be Talons, and it was a cake set and I really like it and I've used it a lot. In fact, I took the cakes out of the original palette they came in and put them in my giant round palette. The only problem I have with the Quar paints is I hate these little fiddly tops. The little tops make me crazy. But I have that same problem with lots of paint brands. I love the Quar bottles because they have a nice big cap. Exactly. So you need to figure out first what your budget is, and you need to then figure out what you're going to do with them. So if you just want to play, do some art journaling, make some cards, then maybe you don't want to spend tons of money on like Quar watercolors. I put all those tubes back. I need to write the names down still. Okay, so Hansa yellow. And it's no point in doing these comparisons if you don't write the color names down. But if you buy a starter brand of paint, even Reeves, and you discover that you really are liking using it, then maybe you do want to upgrade at some point to a better brand. Well, you all know I love colors. I have so much paint. Every now and then I do a paint purge. Normally it's acrylic paints because I don't really purge my watercolors ever, but I love paint. I'm a freak for paint. And I know how to mix colors, but you know, I'd rather not. All right. So I have a giant Gouache palette. If you haven't seen it before, it looks like this. Giant Gouache palette, giant gouache palette. What am I thinking? So Pelican is the main. So this is mostly Pelican and Reeves. Here is the color key for these that you can see. And I used to do a lot of gouache. And I still frequently mix my gouache with my watercolor. There's nothing wrong with that. You can see where I uncaked. I took them out of the original palette. They came in and just popped them in here. But there's nothing wrong, especially when you're doing faces because they're more opaque. Hey, Scotland. That's on my bucket list. I need to go visit. So when I started with gouache, I got the Pelican, which is a pretty good brand. And they come in a cake form, but I'm really loving the Holbein if you can afford it. Okay, so let's get our colors done here. So we poured out our 6 Quar colors. Quar, of course, is made by Golden Paints, in case you didn't know. And just like other Golden Paints, they're pretty vibrant. These colors aren't an exact match to the other colors I've used, but they're close. So a set of what for under $30? Gouache, Genesis Torres. You might want to share with everybody if you have a link, if you can put a link in the comments. Yeah, I know, right? Well, unfortunately, I have loads of asthma and allergy medicine because every time I complain, the doctors just throw more medicine at me. But I hate taking it because the cure is worse than the problem to begin with. Oh, Holbein. I like the Holbein. I got to tell you guys, Holbein, or look at the Mission Golds. So far, I mean, I'm a big Daniel Smith fan, but I think if I was just starting out and I was watching somebody do this, I would go with Holbein or Mission Gold. I haven't had a problem with re-wetting them. I know some people have had that problem. I just dipped that in the purple. With Quar and sometimes with Daniel Smith. But honestly, I've never had that problem. Now, I would say what I normally do when I paint, and I did today with the Holbein paints, was I sprayed them with water and I let it sit for about 5 minutes, and then I sprayed it again. So I would, you know, not be in a big hurry. Okay, that works. And then people can go over to Amazon and they can look that up. The Mission Golds were great too. So there is our comparison. Now, this is Winsor Newton, Van Gogh, Holbein, and Quar. The core are expensive, but they're nice paints. There's nothing at all wrong with them. I really like them. They're just expensive. Like Daniel Smith. I mean, I love Daniel Smith, but it's not cheap. So if you're gonna start out with a really great brand of paint like Quar, Daniel Smith, Schmink, and you're on a limited budget, you might want to just buy a couple tubes at a time and start out with your primary colors. You really can get by with a yellow, a red, and a blue to start. And then I would do an orange, a green, and a purple, and then do a Payne's gray and maybe a white, and then start adding in your fun colors. The Holbein green is this permanent green. What is it called? Permanent green #1. And it's a very limey kind of a bright green. I really love this green. And this yellow orange is fabulous. I had no idea. And they have a lot of colors of paint. So let's give this a quick dry so we can move on. And let's see how they blend and paint with. It is very bright and happy. I'm drinking some warm tea here because it's the best thing for my congestion and allergies. No, warm tea helps clear out all the mucus. I know you all didn't want to hear that, but you know. Okay. So here we go. I just have to remember to put the right paint brand in the right little house. I already pre-drew my houses so y'all didn't have to suffer through watching me do that. So let's see what it's like to paint with them. Because for me, that's one of the tests for me. How easy are they to paint with, to do wet on wet stuff with, dry on wet stuff with, to blend on the paper, to blend off the paper, that sort of thing. I'm loving this orange that they sent. Now Holbein did send me, I contacted them, like with Mission Gold and Prima and who else? Mission Gold, Prima. And that's it so far. They sent me paints. So I told them I was doing this, told the companies I was doing this, and they sent me some paint. I have some other companies that have said they're sending me paint, but we're not going to advertise them until I actually get something from them. How do you not just love that orange? You know, I didn't really ever like orange until I started painting with it. And then I realized what a great color it was. Okay. Try hot tea, and if you're really mucusy, put a little bit of lemon in it. The citric acid in the lemon will help with the mucus. And honey, if your throat is sore, put some honey in there. It'll coat your throat. But warm drinks are really great for people who have allergies and asthma. It helps really keep everything clear. So this is a organic, what is this? Bramble wine tea. This is not one that's caffeine free, but it's very low caffeine. And it smells fruitier than it tastes because I'm not a big fan of fruity, flowery teas. But I like this one. I also got a lemon ginger the other day that was nice. That's nice too. All right, let's see. Let's start talking about allergies and asthma. We'll stop. I'll forget to talk about watercolors. I'm liking these paints. Yeah, and unfortunately, once you have an exposure to something and you develop something like allergies, I've been told by doctors that once your allergies sort of go on their rampage, they don't really ever go off the rampage. So you're stuck. The older we get, the worse it is. All right. My only comment to that was, oh, fabulous. That's just what I needed. Just thanks a lot. So just like always, I am painting from warm to cool colors, and I am and light to dark. So your warmer colors that would suggest sunlight and brightness and warmth would be the reds, the yellows, the oranges. The cooler colors that would suggest shadow and cold would be violets, blues. Your greens are sort of on the border, in my opinion. Some of them are cool, some of them are warm. This one is pretty warm. Oh, wrong blue. Okay. And I'm not too concerned, you know, things are going to blend on the page, and that's okay. I kind of want to see what it's going to do when they blend. Some of these, without me trying too hard, make a really nice sort of dark Payne's gray color, and I like that. Oh, Nancy, I'm so sorry. We have a dog. You have sometimes heard him barking in the background. He's a mixed breed, pit bull, shepherd sort of thing. But he's outside a lot. He's only inside at night because partly because of my allergies, but also because he's messy. I'm a control freak, in case you didn't know. I just had a talk with somebody the other day about that. Well, I think it was Jerry, one of my admins. I'm liking these paints, you guys. I've got to tell you, let's put some violet in there. We love Bandit. He's a very protective dog, so he doesn't like anybody near his property at all. So if there's like a neighbor, you know, 2 doors down that's outside that shouldn't be, you know, that he feels shouldn't be, he tells me because he starts barking. I'm liking these paints. I like the way that turned out. And these are just quick little paintings. These are not Picasso. We're just, doing quick paintings. Now let's do the Coir one. The one thing about the golden Coir paints are their yellow is very, very pigmented. It's something I've noticed about not all of the brands, but Coir is definitely one of them. I felt Mission Gold was too, that had a really nicely pigmented yellow. Yeah, you know what? This really, I think one of the things I like about watercolor is that I really can't be a control freak about watercolor. It has a mind of its own. It's going to go where it may, and I don't have that much control over it. No, it doesn't. This is Van Gogh, and this blended a bit better than the Holbein did. Whatever paint brand you have, there's ways to work around that. No worries, Lori. Hey, good. Glad you're here. So depending on what brand you have, there's ways to work around that and to work within the brand that you have and the paint that you have and its properties. Some will blend better on paper than others. And I think so far, the 2 best that did that were Schmink was okay. Mayberry Blue, look at the Mayberry Blue. And we just naturally got, look at all these dark gray colors that we got. And then Van Gogh did a pretty good job too. Look at how much brighter this whole palette here. All of these are pretty bright. Whoops, I just stuck my brush in the wrong color. No worries. and you know, sometimes, and it depends sometimes too on what colors you use, how bright they're going to be. And how well they're going to blend. Some pigments do that better than others do. And so, you know, usually within the same brand, you'll have ones that are brighter and ones that are darker. So it just depends. And you know, these paintings aren't exact. I'm doing them all a little bit different. Yeah, so this new tea I got is a lemon ginger, and I am not a huge ginger fan. But I do like it when my allergies are bothering me. I'm learning to love it more than I used to. This is, and that was a different color of orange than any of the others. So it's going to be a lot more golden brown. It's, what color was that? That's quinacridone gold deep. It is one of my favorite colors in both the Quar and Daniel Smith. It's a fabulous orange color, and it's nice and dark. My teacup's kind of blocking the screen here. There we go. I do think this Quar Ultramarine is fabulous. Look at how dark it is without me even trying very hard. The color may not be, you know, super true to on your screen to what is going on the paper, but it should be pretty close. Now, I will say that one of the things I like about Quar paints is that before you go out and buy a ton of Quar watercolors, you can write to Golden or go to your local art supply store and ask for some samples. Now, of course, they don't have a big color range and they don't have all the colors in the samples, but they do have samples of these colors on cards that you can get the little card and you can try them before you buy them. And Daniel Smith, of course, has the same thing. You do have to pay for their color cards because they have a lot of paint on them. But I would definitely think about doing that if you're thinking about one of these two brands of paint. Now, there, as far as I'm aware, and I, of course, could be wrong. I'm frequently wrong about stuff. But as far as I know, they are the only two brands that do that and that give you or that have available for you to get some kind of sample chart. That's really, I like that. So you can definitely tell the difference in how pigmented they are. Now, let's see. So the Quar colors you can get, they have 3 of them, at least they did last time I got them, and they come in these little booklets, and the booklets have a piece of paper, and then they have this little piece of parchment here. I actually taped it down, and then they have 6 blobs of paint on them, and each one of these is a different kind of colorway, and they match what's on the cover here. So this is like more earth tones, more, this has got the reds and greens in it, and this actually has the teal in it. Oh, see, that's good to know because I've written to just about everybody, and so far these are the only ones that have samples. Yeah, definitely. If you're, you know, watercolors can be pricey like any other art supply, and if you're thinking of investing in something more than a koi palette, then I would definitely write to the company you're thinking about and ask them, do you have sample booklets available or some kind of sample card with actual paint on it that you can actually play with, not one with pictures, one with little blobs of paint. The thing I like about these are their little blobs of paint. These are the Daniel Smith ones. I cut them down small so they would fit in here, but it's an actual blob of paint. And the Quar has the same thing. And now we're finding out Winsor Newton has that too. So definitely I would write them. The Holbein green is fabulous, right? Okay, so here are our houses. And, you know, some of this depends, too, on what you like. Maybe you don't like super bright, vibrant colors, and you really prefer to do more layering and have them be lighter toned. That's going to, deciding that's going to give you a big push in the direction of what paint to get. Get some samples. Yeah, send off for those samples today. I'm going to have to go to Winsor Newton and do the same thing. I love Jackson's art. If I ever get over to the UK, I want to go to that store. It's on my wish list. Well, and like I said, there's no reason why you can't get, say you love the quinacridone gold deep. You love the Holbein permanent green. You love May Mary Blues purple. There's no reason why you can't put all of these in a palette. Make a palette that's just for you. All right, now let's do our color wheel. So these are the ones we've done already. And I will scan the pages we've done today and put them in on my Watercolor Wednesday page on my website so that you guys can download them. You can see right there, look at the Winsor Newton and Van Gogh are nice paints. Now these are both student grade. This is their Cotman, and this Van Gogh's kind of a student grade paint also. But look at them as compared to, this is Mission Gold and May Mary Blue. Right? So these are much, much brighter, and these are much, much paler. So, you know, but you may prefer this. Depends on what you're doing and what you like. And you might like a combination like Teresa. I, of course, just like watercolor paint. I can work with whatever you send me, you know, because I just love watercolor. Because I'm crazy that way. All right. So let's do our color wheel. So we're going to put permanent lemon yellow. And 1, 2, 3, and then put one here. This will be the Pyrrole red. Oh, culinary school, my other love, cooking. Well, good luck. Have fun with that. Have a great day over at culinary school. And then ultramarine. I actually considered going back to culinary school when I discovered mixed media, and then that was that. All right. So on this one, we're going to do Hansa yellow. And then Pyrrole red. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then 1, 2, 3, 4. Ultramarine. Okay. So let's get to blending. I'm going to switch to a little bit smaller brush. I'm going to do the core first just because it's in front of me. So the first thing, of course, that we will do is put the pure pigment in our squares, our triangles. And then red. I almost stuck my brush in that quinacridone gold. Quinacridone gold, teal, and like moon glow. It's a fabulous color combination of paint colors. All right. And then ultramarine. Okay, I need my little plate out. All right. Blending time. All right. So now we are going to mix the yellow. Oops. Yeah, I think you guys can see me, hopefully. There we go. And then some of the red. And we'll do kind of a 50-50 mix. Oops. And that mix goes here. And then we're going to take some of that and put more yellow in it. And put it here. That's a pretty color. And then some of it and put more red in it. And even if you only have one brand of paint, this is just really great practice. It's great color mixing practice to pick 3 colors of paint off of your palette, some kind of yellow, some kind of red, and some kind of blue. Draw one of these circles out and then start blending them together to see what you get. It's really great color blending practice. And you don't have to have tons of paint to do it. It's very peachy, yeah. So you would want to, if you were going to mix a flesh tone, just put a teeny tiny dab of a brown into, a blue into one of these to brown it up just a tiny little bit and make it a little less peachy. And then that would be a perfect skin color. Okay, so now we're going to take some of our blue and some of our red. And then take and add more red. Let's try to get red and not the orange. And most of the time your watercolor paints dry lighter than they are applied. I would definitely recommend doing this with whatever paint medium you have. This definitely can be done with acrylic paints, and I've done it with acrylic paints. I've done whole journal pages where I just have 3 colors of acrylic paint, and each little square on the page has a different color in it. That's great practice. You can do it with any kind of paint. Color mixing applies across all mediums. I totally agree with Maria. So I need some more blue. Now we're going to do our greens. Just limit your color palette because I think you'll get more out of it if you do when you're practicing with your color mixing. Pick 3 versions of primary and mix them and see what you get. And then do another one where you pick 3 different versions of primary. Like for your yellow, you could pick that quinacridone gold. And for your red, you could do like an alizarin crimson. And for your blue, you could do maybe a teal. Let's see what you get. Okay, so now I'm going to put more blue, the rest of the blue in there. Let's put a little more blue in it. Just so I have a bigger color variation. I actually think they do. I started with watercolor when I started playing with paint. And I really prefer, I think they're more interesting. You can create so many colors with just 3 tubes of paint. You don't need a lot. And like even the Holbein starter set, it only has 5 tubes of paint. And so far I've done 2 journal pages with those 5 tubes of paint. I mean, anybody who's been to my house or you've watched my videos at all, I have lots of paint. I love paint and I love paint colors. You don't need to do that though, especially when you're starting out. So there's our coir. think the thing I like about watercolor is if you wanted to, you could mix them right on the paper. You don't have to mix them on a palette and then put them on the paper. With acrylic, it's harder to do that. Yeah, I don't disagree with that. The real Myrtle. I don't disagree with that. And especially that, you know, again, if you compare it to Daniel Smith and Schmink, even Mayberry Blue and Mission Gold. I love those Mission Gold paints. I never even heard of them before one of you all said something. Can you try Mission Gold? Yeah, let's just not talk about brushes, Maria. Oh, yeah. I have a thing for brushes. It's so bad. But I do love Princeton brushes, and this is a Princeton Select. I also have the Princeton Neptune brushes. I love it. That's my actually favorite brand. Okay, so let's start with our yellow. I'm going to put some on our palette here. Yeah, I know. I've gotten rid of a lot of craft stuff, but yeah, I like brushes. You notice I said craft stuff and not art stuff. Sure, shoot, Nancy. I'm going to spray these again. My favorite scrubby brush. Yeah, I do have a favorite scrubby brush. Let me put this red on here. So when you used to be able to find them, and they're hard to find now, I really like the plaid folk art brush. It's called a scruffy brush, and it's a short bristled brush. Let's see if I have one. I think they're all like, oh no, I do have one. Okay, so this is a plaid folk art brush. It's called a scruffy. This is a 1/2 inch scruffy, and it looks like that. And I love this brush. And this is a really great brush for doing like blending with acrylic paint on a page. I love this one. This is a new one I just got. This is a low Cornell stippler brush, and it's intended, you know, for doing this kind of thing. I actually like it for scrubbing and being scruffy on the page. These are my two favorite kind of brushes like that. Neither one of these is like super available that I've seen at the craft store. I've had to mail order them. So you'll have to look around at your local craft store. If somebody sees them at a local store, let me know. I have trouble getting to the craft stores like Michael's without medicine and masks because of all the stuff, the potpourri and all that stuff. You're welcome. Folk Art makes some really great brushes that way. And when I first started, you know, painting again, I was doing folk art style painting. So I used to do, has anybody been to a craft shop where you've seen the wooden bunnies with the changeable fabric ears? I used to make those. Paint their little faces. Make the ears. Okay, so those are 3 primary colors in the Holbein, and they're pretty comparable to the Coir. Let's start doing some mixing though now. Let's do our oranges first. So let's pull some of this red over here. And then let's pull the yellow in. Yeah, I made a lot of those wooden bunnies. I had some senior citizens at our local Masonic home. My husband's a Freemason, and the guys in the wood shop would cut the bunnies for me, and then I would paint them and make ears. Yeah. Well, you know, I don't know that I was ever completely sane to begin with. So, sane's a relative concept, isn't it? Okay, and so now I'm going to pull some more of the yellow into it. I think for starter paints, these are good. You know, a brand that haven't talked about yet, and maybe I'll pick some up when I'm in Las Vegas and we'll do something with them. I only have, I think, like brown and Payne's Gray, is store brands. Utrecht and Dick Blick both have store brand of watercolor paints. I've only picked up the occasional tube of like Van Dyke Brown or Payne's Gray, but you know what? I like them, and they're affordable. That needs more red. Well, I hope, you know, besides just watching me paint, you know, which if you love paint is interesting at all and all, I hope I want to be entertaining too. So, you know, y'all don't get bored. And if you can't laugh at yourself, who can you laugh at? I mean, you know. So I'm going to put some more red on my palette. And some more yellow. Okay, now let's work on our purples and see what happens. Look at that. Look at that color. I love that color. And you guys can't see my face. You're just watching my hands when I'm smiling at my other two partners in crime are all talking about Vegas. Well, you know, I try. It may be the whole Catholic guilt thing. You know, if I don't be kind and generous with people, then I think I'm going to hell. But, you know, I don't know. Yeah, Maria, I crack myself up a lot. My husband comes into my office and he says, "Who are you laughing at?" I just tell him myself. He just rolls his eyes, shakes his head. Yeah, they'll get to see. I got to sell some more stamps so I have shopping money. Yeah, I don't know where in the UK Jackson's Art is located, and I don't know how many locations they have. But they are a UK store, and you know, I don't know if they're in Scotland or just, you know, down in England, but I love them and they have good prices on stuff. Isn't that pretty? These blend nicely. I gotta say, these Holbein paints blend nicely, I think. All right, let's get some more blue out. The bluer one, this one, Nancy, I like this one. Oh, this is going to be a pretty green, I can already tell. Look at that. It's okay. My husband's going to Reno in, I think, a week for his brother's bachelor party. So probably they're going to get into nonsense there so I can do what I want when I'm in Vegas. I don't know if bluer is a word. Is bluer a word? Yeah, I like Jackson's, and you know, even Dick Blick, they don't have the same amount of stuff in the store that they have on their website. There are things on the website they have available for sale they don't have in the store, but that's true with any company that has an online store. Artist dictionary. Exactly. Look, now look at these two comparatively, you know, they're pretty comparable. Let's dry. This one's really wet, so let's dry it. I don't gamble, Lisa. I saw that. I don't gamble, so I don't know about winning big. It's hard to do when you don't gamble. I just go to Vegas to watch the crazy people and the shows and eat some really good food and go shopping at Dick Blick. The Quar Blue is a little prettier. Yep. So that's what I'm talking about. Each brand is going to have colors you're going to be really drawn to more than other brand, more than that same color in another brand. So, you know, that's, you know, unless you fall in love with a particular brand of paint, you probably want to pick and choose a tube here and there. I'm just catching up on comments. Yeah, right. I mean, trust me, crazy people in Las Vegas go together like peanut butter and jelly. They really do. All right, so now this is just another color blending exercise. We've already been on an hour, so I don't know if you guys want to watch me do this one too, but this is just another color blending exercise. It's a little bit different one, but it's the same idea, just in a different format. Definitely, you can ask me questions. This is probably the time to do the questions. Okay, cool. So we're going to, across the top and down the side, we're going to put the pure pigment, and I'm, of course, going to write the color. I won't get any more taping done today either. I've got to finish editing and creating the PDF for the March Journaling Crazy Island style lesson that I filmed yesterday, which will take, after we're done with this and I get some lunch in me, it'll take the rest of the day to get all that done. Now, don't forget, if you're going to use this as sort of a reference book and you're going to use it to test and catalog and experiment with the paint brands that you own or that your friends do, don't forget in the back to do a technique section where you play with scratching in it, playing with having plastic wrap drying it, all that sort of thing. And we'll go, at some point, we'll go over these again. I've done these on live on camera before. And also doing an inventory section. And I have all the little brochures in the back that they've sent me or that I've printed that have all the information about light fastness and stuff for each one of the brands that are in here. Cool. All right, so we've got the Quar. Now let's do the Holbein. Yeah, no, here it's 11:09 in the morning. It's too loud in my house to try to do it at another time. I can't say anything about nasty weather because we may have nice weather here, but we have earthquakes, so. Okay. Now, so in the square where the color name is, put the pure pigment. That's just such a nice bright yellow. And here we've got some more pure pigment. Now where your horizontal and vertical squares meet, pure pigment. Now, of course, you could do this with more primary shades of red, yellow, and blue up here. And then you could have 3 different colors of red, yellow, and blue down here. And then do this. That would be interesting to do. An interesting color blending exercise. Okay, so now we're going to do the red. I'm going to need the plate in a minute. I'm actually not a big fan of super warm hot weather. And lately in California, that's pretty much all we get. I won't complain too much, but I like my favorite yellow across all brands of paint, be it watercolor or acrylic, is either Hansa yellow, which is this color, or Naples yellow. If you make me pick a brand of yellow in watercolor that's my favorite brand and shade of yellow, it's probably the Quar Hansa yellow because I love how bright and vibrant it is. Now, where these two meet would be more of the pure pigment right here. Sorry, Cindy. All right, and then blue, of course. I like Naples yellow. It's a nice, like softer blue, but when you're talking about color mixing and like primary colors, it's sort of more a grayer, subtler, not blue. Holy cow, Naples yellow. It's sort of a subtler blue, yellow. I keep saying blue. Holy cow. It's a subtler yellow. And it's a little bit grayer. So when you're color mixing it like you're doing flesh tones, I prefer not to use it for that because I think it's a little too gray. But it is one of my favorite colors. Yeah. Yeah, I have no idea what that's like. I'm from here. My husband keeps shaking his head at me. He's born in New York City, Queens, and yeah. He doesn't mind living somewhere where it snows a little bit, but he doesn't want to shovel it. That's pretty much his exact words. And it can't get too much snow. Okay, so there's our blues. Probably I keep saying Naples blue because I'm painting with blue while I'm talking about yellow paint. That's, yeah. All right, so here where the red is meeting the yellow. So on this end, we're going to do red and yellow, but we're going to do it more towards the red, make it darker, more towards the red tones. Here where the red meets the yellow, we're going to make it more yellow. So we'll take some red and some yellow and put a little yellow in it. And it's just going to orange it up just a little bit. Now, when you're done doing an experiment like this, don't waste this paint on this palette. Fill it up with water and do some like painty background papers or something. Okay, so this is going to be more yellow. Yeah, I think if we live somewhere where it snows, that's where my husband would be working from home those days. Maria, church cancellations on the TV. That's pretty funny. I live in California. We need to have an earthquake for things to stop. But that they do when it happens. Okay, so we're going to do the same thing with the blue. We'll make one mixture that's more towards the blue side and the red here. And then one that's more towards the red. Make sure I put it in the right place. Okay, and then we need some more yellow. Okay. Okay, so now we're going to do the same thing with the yellow and the blue. And we'll make one that's more on the yellow side and put it here. Look at that pretty limey green I got without trying. I didn't even try too hard. And then we'll take some and we'll put some more blue in it. That's a nice color swatch in there. Need another baby wipe. Yeah, I like the greens. The Quartz mix up and make some really nice greens. The Hansa yellow and ultramarine blue, actually in any paint brand, those two colors, Hansa yellow and ultramarine blue, make a really nice green. If you want greens that are a little bit more on the tealy turquoisey side, use like a Prussian blue or a peacock blue for your blue. This is the Holbein peacock blue, which is very Prussian bluey color, and it's already more turquoise. And then when you add something like Hansa yellow to it, it makes it more so. All right, let's do the Holbein now. When I was little, we lived in Georgia and drove all over the South United States, Southern United States, but I don't remember any of that. I was too little. And we're going to get out some red. And then some blue. I know, right? The green is really pretty. Okay. Now we'll first do the pure color. Now this is a permanent lemon yellow, which usually is a lot lighter pigmented in any brand and a little bit more white or chalky than other yellows. And it is a great color, but it doesn't really compare to the Hansa yellow. But you're going to get, if you have like a lemon yellow and a Hansa yellow in the same brand and you mix them with the same ultramarine blue, you're going to get different colors. So that's why I'm saying when you're doing these kind of blending exercise, no matter what brand of paint you have, do pages where you have these kind of little charts with 3 completely different colors each time you do it. Because the only way to get to know your paints is to try them. I do love this Pyrol red on the Holbein. And I think this is decent paint. I really do. Okay. How it compares to the Gonzai Tombi and some koi paints will be interesting because I do have both of those. And at some point we will be adding them to our book. So in the future, that'll be something to look forward to see how they compare. Because they're all Asian brand paints. I think all Japanese. I could be wrong, but I think all Japanese paints. I almost stuck my brush in purple. Oops. Okay. Now we're going to start our mixing. So let's do our yellows and reds first. So we'll take some of our yellow and pull it over. And then some of our red. Now that had a lot of water in it. Probably a little too much water, which is why it's so light. They are. I like using the Gonzai paints when I'm doing embellishments like for tags and cards and things. So we're going to do this again because that was pretty watery. Now with watercolor, of course, the more water you add to it, the lighter pigment you're going to get. So I would recommend, Nancy, that you do some color blending with the Kuretake and whatever other cheapie set that you have. I would do it with both. And I think that, you know, you're going to probably be surprised by the results, but I think you should do it with both. That's a pretty orange color. I like that color. Okay, let's come over here and let's do some purples and see what happens. And like I've said before, when in other episodes where we're working on our book here, if you have friends who have watercolors, they do mixed media, maybe they just have a little Winsor Newton Cotman set. That's okay. I would definitely think about getting together with them and bringing your paints to each other and doing this exercise and switch paints. Now, see, I kind of put the wrong color in the wrong space. I'm talking while I'm doing this, see? All right, well, let's finish this one. Oops. And let's do one that's more blue over here. Oops. That's true, Cindy. They don't pop like they do in real life. I have a praying set that we're gonna work with. Praying is definitely like a student grade kid set, but if you're just doing cards and tags, it will work just fine. I'm interested to see how it blends and, you know, what it does using these kind of techniques. You build a custom set just for you. I think that's a great idea. And that's what I do. My travel set, whether you're talking about my big one or my little one, they're not, I love Daniel Smith, but they're not just Daniel Smith paints. They're a blended sets. And I got the Prang recently just to try it for this because I was curious about what it would do. And I know it's a very affordable, you know, I should say inexpensive brand of watercolor paint. Now, I have been looking for light fastness information on the Prang, and I can't find it. There may not be any. It may sort of be like the Primas, and there may not be any. So if you guys find it, let me know. We're trying to get the light fastness information from Prima. All they say is they're pretty light fast. That doesn't give us a rating or anything. They don't really tell us anything. Royal Langnickel. And they're a pretty good brand. I have some of their paints. They're not bad. They're not horrible. I think the only ones I could truly tell you that are horrible are Artist Loft. I'm not a big fan of the Artist Loft cake watercolors. I have had them and I gave them away. I'm not a big fan of Crayola, only because they're pretty well pigmented actually for kids paint, but they're not light fast at all. So if you do something cute with it, it's going to fade. So I would definitely stay away from some of those brands. The Artist Loft, I have not been impressed by anything that's Artist Loft, to be honest with you. So there's our two palettes here. I'm a little wishy-washy sometimes, so I've been told. So here, let's open up our book. Okay, so these are the ones that we just did this morning. And this is the Schmink and Daniel Smith. Which are two of the, leaders in the watercolor world, along with the Winsor Newton Professional Series paints. And I have some of each of Winsor Newton. I have a few professional colors and a few, mostly I have Cotman, which is their student grade. And then we have Mission Gold and Mayberry Blue. Yeah, I got their semi-moist. I'll show you guys in a minute. And this is the Winsor Newton and Van Gogh ones that we did. I have Royal Langnickel brushes, and I like them. They're some of my favorites. I also have Princeton. I also like Princeton, obviously. I just already said that, but Royal Langnickel paints aren't horrible. They're not fabulous, but they sell them at Hobby Lobby. And if you want to just play and you just want to buy 3 or 4 tubes of paint, get the Royal Langnickel or get Van Gogh. I like the Van Gogh too. I mean, I've really never met a watercolor that I hate except for Artist Loft. All right, so I'm going to put these back in and I'm going to share something with you guys I haven't really shown on camera. Crimson Lake. That's a pretty color, Crimson Lake. I know what color that you mean. I don't think it's light fast, but I do love it and I do use it. Okay, so this is the Schmink palette that I own. Now, again, my Schmink palette I bought with 48 colors in it, but I did find out pretty quickly that you can squeeze them all over that way and get one more color in each row. And then the little pans don't jiggle around. So I did that. So my palette has 52 colors in it. This is my Daniel Smith palette. So you can see here, and there's similar colors in each palette. That's okay. I like, I have a lot of paint. I like paint. Van Gogh, there's nothing wrong with Van Gogh. And if you're going to buy a starter set of 2 paints, get Van Gogh. I like their paints. They're pretty decent for starter paints. Okay, so these are pretty comparable in color and pigment load, in my opinion. I like Daniel Smith because they're made in the USA, and they're less expensive than the Schmink. But that being said, you can buy a pre-made Schmink dry pan set, where it's already filled in the little plastic pans. And when you want to go refill them, their tubes match the pan. The pigment's the same. Daniel Smith doesn't do that because they don't make dry pans. They only make tubes. So I guess depending on your point of view, Schmink might have one up on them because of that. But Daniel Smith's also easier for me to get, and I like that it's made in the USA. That is Opera Pink, and I think it's one of the brightest pinks I've seen yet. I love it. And then, of course, we have our Moon Glow, which is a gray purple, which is one of my favorite colors. But this is the Cobalt Turquoise in the Schmink. Yeah, this one, Opera Pink. Okay. And if, if I was going to build a palette that had both of these in them, I like the Rose of Ultramarine, the Opera Pink, Moon Glow, the Schmink Cobalt Turquoise, the Schmink Cadmium Yellow, their transparent orange. There's no reason why you can't pick and choose. If you guys want, I will scan these for you and put them on the Watercolor Wednesday page, if that works for everybody. Okay, so those are those two. And then I have, this is the Mission Gold. Now, of course, I don't have as many, Mission Gold paints. They sent me some as the other two, but these are nice and bright. And look at this Permanent Rose. Just hand the tubes over, Teresa. All right. So I'll scan these. I'll do my complete color listing of the two brands we did today, and then I'll scan all these and put them on the website. Look for them later today. This is all the Mayberry Blue tubes I own. And almost every brand of paint I own, if I've bought it, I have lots of reds, blues, and purples. Those are my colors I like to paint with. And this down here is Van Gogh. I love the Van Gogh Permanent Red Violet and Permanent Blue Violet. Those are beautiful colors. I also love the Van Gogh Prussian Blue. And these are student grade paints, but I love them. And this is my Winsor Newton set. Now, I like the Mission Gold paints. They're nice paints. I don't have that many of them. Look at this Burnt Umber. I mean, I love that color. And they're not horribly expensive. Okay, so this is the Winsor Newton's paints I own. The ones with the little mark down here in the lower right corner are the professional artist line of paints. Anything without that mark in it is Cotman, which is their student brand. I obviously mix and match, and I like these. Their manganese blue I love the manganese blue. It's a favorite blue. And I also love their Permanent Rose and dioxazine purple. I love the dioxazine purple. And their Cotmans are not horribly expensive. And the artist ones I have, I got on clearance. I was at a local art supply store, and they had some older tubes of Winsor Newton artist paints, and they were clearancing them out because they're old packaging. Nothing wrong with the paint. I'm like, I'll take some of them. So when I'm building a palette of paints, a new brand, like I've been trying to build the Mayberry Blue. So we'll look at that one. So when I start building a palette, to begin with, I choose 2 yellows, 2 reds, 2 blues. Okay, so a warm yellow and a cool yellow. So like a lemon yellow, and then something that's cooler, more towards the red, blue, green side, like maybe Indian yellow, or you could think of it as like a pure yellow and then an orangey yellow, or a pure yellow and then a browner yellow. And then the same thing with your red, something that's red, something that's maybe more blue-red. And then the blues, something that's blue, and then maybe more green-blue. So to start with, I will just get those 6 tubes of paint. Then as I go along, I'll add in a Payne's Gray, because I love that for a neutral. I frequently will add a sepia, which is this one, or a Van Dyke Brown, which I also like. A violet, So I'll add in a neutral, a violet, and then some greens. And I will start building up my colors from there until I have a palette that makes me happy, that has a decent enough selection of paints, like this Van Gogh palette, that I have enough colors that I can work with that to paint almost any painting. And what colors I don't have, I have enough choices here to mix from. Now, frequently my palettes are green and or blue heavy because I paint a lot of scenes with those. So even my Daniel Smith, the Schmink came this way, so it came with all these colors. But my Daniel Smith palette, you'll notice, has a lot of blues and blue greens in it, and probably more violets and neutrals than normal. I don't generally buy black. I do have black because it came with some things, so I own a few black paints, but a dark black or neutral is really easy to mix. You just mix all your primaries together and you're going to get it. That being said, it's not bad to have a tube of black. If you said, would you buy black or white? I'd get black before I got white. And of course, if you have a brand like Schmink that has some really pretty metallic colors, or the Coir, then those are just fun colors to have. But if you're doing lots of landscapes or sunsets or something, those metallic colors are fun to add in to just have in your palette. But you don't need to have them. Those are like bonus colors. Any other questions? And I'm gonna swatch these other two brands for you guys, and then I will put them in here and I'll get everything scanned. I have to figure out where I'm going to put them. Any other questions? Yeah, I didn't know about the Mission Gold paints, Maria, until one of you all said something. And when I wrote them, they were very nice about it. And they sent me out a few tubes of paint, and I'm pretty impressed by them. They're not super cheap, but they're not horrible either. So these binder rings I got at Staples. Definitely, if you guys have watercolor paints that you've swatched, maybe you're working on a book like this, and especially if they're brands that I don't have, but maybe they're brands I have, but we aren't going to have the same colors. I can pretty much guarantee you that. I think it would be great if you guys do your swatches, your tests, your experiments, scan the pages. Let's create a photo album in the Facebook group. I think that's fabulous. And let's share and talk about our impressions of the paint so that everybody can make an educated decision about what watercolors they want to buy for themselves. And I really want to encourage you. I think the best way to do it is to do a mixed palette. This is one of my favorite, besides the Daniel Smith palette. This is one of my favorites. And this is a mix of a bunch of different brands of paint. And there you can see again, this blue heavy, big surprise, blue heavy. So, yeah, this has Van Gogh, Schmink, Grumbacher, Winsor Newton, Coir, and I know these ones at the bottom here are Snail. So, because I went to a demo and they gave samples of Snail watercolor paint. Now, I'm not a big fan of these. They're super pigmented. They're fabulous quality paints. Their binder's honey. They never really dry. So I'm not a big fan of that. So, but I definitely think that, if you've done this and you've, done your experiment and you've done your color key, let's scan them and let's make a photo album so that we can all share in the group and talk about it. And then people, when they're out at the art supply store and they're building their collection of watercolor paints, they can decide which color they want from which brand because they like that color better. It's going to work better for them. Yeah, M. Graham have honey too, and they're sticky. And I did write them. I wrote a whole bunch of companies. Some I didn't hear from at all. Some are sending me. And as they come in, I'll be sure to share with you guys. And I'll do little YouTube videos where we actually open the box and we swatch the paints and all that stuff. Yeah, I've got to go eat some lunch. It's lunchtime. And I got to now clean up my mess. and start building that PDF for Journaling Crazy Island Style. So I will talk to you all soon. Nancy, Teresa, everybody else that's watching right now, I want you all to have a great day. I do own Prima, and they also sent me some more paints. So, so we are, and there's a Prima video, an unboxing video, and a swatching video that's going to air on Monday for the Prima and the Holbein. So you'll see swatches and me playing with all of the stuff that Holbein sent me, and a different video with Prima. And we will be adding Prima to our book. I love their paints. We're trying to nail down specifics from them on light fastness, but I do love their paints. And we'll be adding them to our book for sure. And as for Shinhan, I don't have any. I've heard good things about them. And I am either going to just have to break down and buy some, or try to, if somebody has the contact information, I've been looking for it and I haven't found it. So let me know. Most important thing, if you want to support me and you're up for that, go over to my Etsy shop. You can pre-order the new stamp sets. They're up for pre-order. The initial release will be in 10 days from this last Monday. And that's a great way to support the shop, support the channel right now. And don't forget to have a great day and do something nice for yourself. Like play with your paints, because you deserve it. All right? And I will talk to you guys later, and I will get all my inventory swatched, and I'll get it scanned for you guys. But yeah, let's start a Facebook, in the Facebook group, let's start a photo album. All right, I'll see you all later. Bye.